I'm bringing you another episode from the Sage Holistic Show. Today, it's all about the difference between therapy and life coaching. Here on the Sage Holistic Show, we're dedicated to bringing you information, education, and true life, real life experience about these different healing modalities. So today, you're going to hear from two experts, a licensed marriage and family therapist, Renee Lorch, and a life coach, Dolly Latinsky. Have a listen, and we hope that you learned something today.
SAGE is a 501c3 nonprofit organization building community by providing education and counseling about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. We encourage all of our listeners to find their own path to what holistic wellness means to you.
Or talk to you all today about the difference between therapy and life coaching. So, Dolly, if you would like to share a little about what you do, and I really like the name of your business, and so I think that would be a fun thing to share too, if you don't mind.
Sure. Thank you, first of all. I mean, I'm honored to be invited to talk to you today and share and chat with you today. And let's start with the name of my business, my practice, like what I do, which is Dalai Lama, and I'm the Unstoppable Growth Coach. So it's actually a cute story. I'm a coach. I went to IPEC school, which is one of the biggest schools in the world. And first module, live module, they did some kind of exercise on us, centering exercise on us, and I was in the zone. And usually, I'm not very good with centering. I wasn't in the past with meditation and centering. That was not my thing. But I was able to go deep, and all of a sudden, the name. And I wasn't looking for a name. The name Dalai Lama came to me, and I started laughing because it was so perfect. Because first of all, my daughter, I have three kids. My oldest one heard me on the phone all the time, and she called me Buddha, and and
So
and I'm Israeli, so my first language is Hebrew, and Lama in Hebrew means why, and that's behind everything that I do. I wake up in the morning. I always have a why. I always have an intention, and the why is like, why do you wake up in the morning? Why are you alive? What's your mission here? So that's me. That's the people I'm surrounded with, and that's the people I coach. It's
Oh,
always
wow.
about like, what's your why? What's the realizing what's your mission and acting on your mission. And that's the other part, the unstoppable growth. We are always growing. We're never there. In my eyes, you never reach. There's nothing to reach. You're always there. It's how can you be unstoppable in growing? That's how I see things.
Oh,
So
I
I
love that.
coach people who want to be unstoppable in their business and their life.
Yeah. Oh, wow. How long have you been doing this?
Feels like all my life, but actually I started my business in 2017, but I started my career as a social worker. So I'm familiar with the whole uh, therapy side by being a social worker and working as a social worker. And I have so much respect to people who do therapy. And I think there's such a big place for therapists and social workers and coaches. They work beautifully side by side. Now, you and I were chatting a little bit before, and you told me the definition that resonated with you as far as the differences between therapy and coaching, life coaching. How about you share that, and I'll go from there and explain how I see the difference.
Yeah. So I was just kind of doing some research to, I guess, put things together and a lot of things that came up were the difference. As a therapist, we're really looking for that diagnosis, and we're trying to a lot of times resolve trauma and bring sometimes work from the past and help bring that into the present to help improve the future. So a lot of times we are focusing on the whys and the hows, and I think a lot for my work, a lot of times what I'm doing is going back in and I'm figuring out where these patterns from the past came from so we can move forward. So I think for me, there's just a lot of shifting. It doesn't always have to be like that, but for the most part, a lot of just shifting back and forth, trying to figure out the whys and the how did it get there. And I know therapists are pretty known for like psychodynamic with Freud, laying on the couch, tell me about your past, tell me about your childhood, and I think there is a lot of that type of work that I do where I am trying to uncover all of these problematic thought patterns, relationships, and just kind of work on moving forward. So I feel like that to me is from my perspective, and as a life coach, what I notice is a lot of it tends to focus on the, like, how are we going to change that? What are we going to do? So the therapy comes from the how, or how to get there, why to get there, where life coaching, in my perspective, comes from the what are we going to do? So, so if you want to share your life, because that is neat that you have the experience from being both a life coach and a social worker. So you kind of dipped into both worlds and have that perspective. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about that?
You said it perfectly, like more than two, but few main differences in my eyes. As you said, therapy focus more on the past. So it's about fixing the past, understanding past pattern, where they're coming from, why they're showing now in my life, and going there. Coaching is more future oriented. So yes, we touch the past. Like one of the processes that I'm in love with in my practice, I call it give your gremlin a different job. So, and I think I shared it a little bit with you. It's those little voices we have in our head, those inner critics. We call them in IPEC language, we call them gremlins. Mm-hmm. And they rule our lives. Like we all have them. The most successful person in the world have them. Sometimes we have a committee up there, right? And they all fall under the umbrella of I'm not good enough. But everyone is a little bit different. The messages are different, and they come from our childhood. So as a coach, when I'm going through the process with a client, we will touch the past. We will understand where it's coming from, but then we'll take the energy, because this gremlin hold a lot of energy. We shift the energy. We find a different job for this gremlin. We make them our biggest supporter. So it's future oriented. The second part is it's very goal oriented. So there's always and it's measurable. So the results that you can get, they're measurable. And those results that you will get, they are what you want. So if a therapist, and that's another key component, if a therapist or consultant or even a mentor, they're the experts because they have the knowledge. So there's the expert, and a lot of the time they suggest and tell the client what to do, like what's the best method to go from here. A coach goes from the perception that the client is the expert. So it's not me who gives instructions or suggestions. I can give suggestions, but it's more like asking you the great questions so you come up with your answers, because you are the expert in your life. You know the best. So it's about asking the most great question for you to open up things that you couldn't see before. Yeah. So it goes hand in hand, therapy and coaching, because we need sometimes. So therapy, for me, and correct me if you see it wrong, is taking someone from dysfunctional to functional.
Yeah,
and coaching, for me, it's taking someone from functional to thriving.
Yeah, well, Yeah, there is that, I think, while I was researching, there is that difference between, a therapist, we think a little more about that diagnosis. It's more of, somebody who's struggling with, anxiety or depression, or those are, I think, the typical reasons why somebody would say, I want to go to therapy. I want to work through um, those different, I guess, relationships or different things that are being impacted, I guess, clinically, or because of a diagnosis. And sounds like what you're saying is life coaching can definitely help on and touch on those things, but it's really about like direction, and not necessarily the part that's I guess the diagnosis part's not
Right.
important. Yeah.
Right. I don't diagnose anyone. But if someone come with a diagnosis of depression, clinical depression, or addiction, or depression, and it's all clinically diagnosed, I won't, I won't take them as a client unless they have a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So I had in the past worked and saw amazing results with clients that were diagnosed, but at the same time they worked with a therapist. So that's how we work in alignment together, because
Yeah.
the work we do is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But I always ask those questions. But people that have the tools because they work with a therapist, and they have the tools and they know how to use the tools and they're good, and now they want to go to the next step. Okay, what is it for me? What's my next step? How can I find my why? How can I act on my why? These are my people. Those are the people that, like, my life is fine,
Right.
but what is there out there for me?
Yeah, when you're talking about really making the client the like, they're in charge of their sessions, and they're the expert here. I When you're saying that, I was thinking, I feel like there's this huge misconception that I need a life coach. That means I'm going to hire somebody to tell me what to do. I'm going to hire somebody to guide me and just make all my decisions for me. And do you feel like the clients that you have maybe consulted with, do you feel like that's their understanding? Like, I want to work with you so you can tell me what to do. I know as a therapist, I get that a lot. What would you do? What would tell me what to do? And I think sometimes the clients don't realize it's, they're in charge, not us. But
Such a great question. And you know what? I just had this exact conversation, like exact topic. Exact conversation yesterday, talking to a fellow coach in a different state, and he told me about a client exactly like that. And he said, like how did I fall into it? Because the clients that ask you, okay, what do I? You tell me what to do.
mm-hmm.
Usually, they won't be attracted to a life coach. And I had just one client like that when I just started, and it taught me so much. Because and now I believe in energy. I believe that we attract into our lives the people that we need, and the people that align with our energy. So when I just started and I wasn't sure what to do, and I was the whole confidence thing, yes, I attracted people like that like, tell me what to do, and if you're not telling me what to do, you're fired. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I don't
Oh my
attract
gosh.
people like that anymore. The people that I attract right now are the people that accept that questions can open up so much for them, and they just want to explore together, and they want, yes, get tools, and yes, um, also understand, like, how the mind works and all that, but mainly explore with the question what's possible out there. Like, one of the clients that I just finished with, he was fine in his life, like as far as like financial success, he could retire, but his thing was, how can I find my burning desire?
Mm-hmm.
So there was no questions like, what would you do?
Yeah.
Not that I remember it was, and now when we finished, he's on fire. He's like creating amazing things in his business, in his life, in the world. I mean, I'm very excited for him because it is like I get inspired by listening to all the things that he's created. So the people that we attract, all part of our energy that we put out there. So how I do it in my business is basically helping my client vibrating high so they can attract the people, the opportunities, the collaboration they want, all those things, the success that they want into their life. They don't have to chase it, they just come to them. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, for as a therapist, we don't, I guess we have different assessment tools that we use, but not, not always. I think generally speaking, we don't always, especially in private practice, we don't typically use assessments, but I know that you use the IPEC. Is that something that you can talk about a little bit, or is it too much there to share? Because I think it's a really cool tool.
I can share like a little bit about it because I'm in love with this tool. I think everyone should get it, this assessment. It's called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment, ELI for sure. And it's all about what kind of energy are you putting out in the world. It's actually assessing that. It's giving you a great snapshot of how your energy is working out for you. Basically, how your perception is um, how your perception leading to your action and to your results that you're getting in your life. Now, what happened to you when in your everyday life, when everything works well for you, and what happened to you when you're under stress? So it assesses both of them, and obviously under stress, all the perception changes, the energy is completely different. Now, why is it so important? Because once you know, once it's not in the background, once it's not in the subconscious, you have the biggest power. You have the power of choice because you start practicing it and things make sense to you, and then you're like, okay, I get it. Now, where do I want to go? Do I want to follow this? It's not a reaction anymore. It's like,
Right.
I want to keep on the same path, or do I want to, choose a different one? And I could give a quick example on myself. So 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was in an accident, my fault. So I was driving with my daughter, teenage daughter. She was next to me, rushing on the freeway, and I hit the car in front of me because I was doing that something I wasn't supposed to do for a second, okay? And I hit the car in front of me, and was like I hit the car really good in the middle of the freeway. So the first second was like me holding the wheel and just feeling like crap. Like, and the thoughts that came to me, like, how could you do it? You're so stupid. You know you're not supposed to do it. You're so stupid. That was the first thought. And then my daughter, I said, Mom, it's okay. We're okay. It's just a car.
Oh.
And I snapped out of it, went back to my head and asked myself, okay, how are you handling it? Are you a leader or are you acting like a victim? Like, obviously I'm a big victim right now. Okay, if I'm a leader, how am I supposed to act? And and that like a matter of like seconds, the shift, because my muscle is like stronger now, right?
Yeah.
My awareness is stronger now. So in a matter of seconds, I was able to take the wheel, literally, not just the wheel, but the leadership back into my hand and do something about it. Like take charge of the situation. Got out of the car, took care of my daughter, went to check the other driver, call help, all the things that I needed to do, not from a victim point, but someone who's actually taking charge, which is a completely different experience. And so even in a situation like that, when it is my fault, it is something, you can still take charge. You can still act as a leader. And that's like one of the gifts that the assessment and the awareness and the consciousness of it gave me.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Your daughter is very insightful. She's
Ripple effect.
Yeah, right.
That's amazing thing. That was my wake up call because my life was fine. Like I'm talking about like 13 years ago when I had my awakening. Like my life was fine, but I found myself like, yeah, I mean, I have my kids and I have my home and I have my husband and I have my friends, but something is missing. And like you're born and then you die. What's the point of the middle?
Right.
I had to figure it out for myself. And the thing that triggered me is like, I'm living my life and I want to live my life as a leader, mainly because I want to raise kids that are leaders and are doing things out in the world. So yes, it is the ripple effect. And yes, I see difference on my kids that they see the world different, they act different in the world because they see it. I don't preach, I just act and they see it.
Yeah. I know we talked before about how I told you I was reading a book and it was saying how you should give, like, if you buy something, you should give it gratitude, like, thank you, money, for buying this. And what I really liked was you kind of took my words and you said you want to make sure that it comes from a place of abundance, not a place of luck. Like, I'm so lucky I have this money. Thank you for being here. And I think that that's a really good example too of how life coaching can help to it like you said, with in the steering wheel, it just readjusts, reconnects the way that we take that. We don't go from, oh, I'm so glad that the money is in the bank account, I'm glad it definitely, you don't notice when the words are the same. It's okay to have gratitude and say, I'm grateful for having the money to buy this, but your words are your words, but the intention is everything. And I think that's the one thing that, a takeaway that I've learned from you, talking to you, is if our words can be okay, but if the intention is coming from a place of fear, like, phew, I'm so glad that money was in there, it's really not the same vibrationally as if you were coming from a place of abundance. Like, I'm glad I purchased this, and because I'm abundant, I'm not worried that the money's not there and more is coming. And those little tiny shifts that I know as a therapist, those aren't things that we typically work on in session. I mean, not typically, I guess we could, but those are really cool things that I've learned from you, just that shifting. And I think when we're stuck in our own mind and we are in our own habits, we don't pick up on things like that. And, like I was telling you, reading this book, I was like, oh, well, I'll take some of these takeaways. But if you're not applying it in the way that it's supposed to be, then there's really no point in applying it. So
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning it. Yeah, you said it brilliantly. It's all about the power of intention, and in our words, in our thoughts have so much weight on the results that we're getting and the things that we're attracting. So again, it's the power of consciousness and awareness. It's a consciousness game, the game we're playing, the game of life. It's a game of consciousness. You're conscious, you have more options available to you. That's mainly what I do with my clients. I raise their consciousness. I help them raise. I don't raise it. I help them get access to raise their consciousness so they can make conscious, powerful choices in their life. They might get the same, pick the same choice, but it's out of power and leadership and not out of victimhood. Or when I say victimhood, I mean like at the effect of something else. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're talking a lot about this energy work and this, coming from the higher vibrations. And is that a common life coach, I guess, area of focus, or do you feel like this is a special area?
So I don't know how to answer that because I don't know all the coaches' methods that are out there. It really depends. I think I can't speak to all of the coaches. I know my work, I know IPEC coaches, energy, which everyone says that, like the description or the way people see energy is different. Some people think that see energy as like a woohoo thing that like some people see it differently. you can actually replace the word energy with perception.
Mhm.
So, or leadership, or whatever you want, whatever words resonates with you. But when I say, um, like the work that I do, it's called IPEC work is called core energy, basically from the inside out. And when someone is taking the ELI, they learn that there are 7 levels of energy, 7 levels of perceptions, 7 levels of leadership,
Mhm.
and they're all different, and we all some kind of combination of these 7 levels. And when you know how you operate, then you can actually change it, which is like magnificent. It's like so much power, gives you so much power over your life and
Yeah.
over the actions that you're taking.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if somebody wanted to look into a life coach. Is there a specific, like for me, I know at Sage, we consider ourselves holistic therapists because we just bring in, and for me, I'm a Reiki practitioner. So I do bring in a lot of the spiritual stuff, the holistic, spiritual, just the whole mind, body and soul, just bring it all together. But then there are other places that are very just, we're just talking about our feelings here. We're not going into the different spiritual realms or Reiki. No, we're not going to talk about that. So I think at Sage, what I really love is that we have more of a holistic approach. So sometimes people will Google holistic therapists because that's what they're looking for. So I think I was just wondering if to me, it seems like for me as a therapist to be considered a holistic therapist, it's kind of like a little specialty or like a little niche, I guess, that within the therapist. Do you feel like you are like a special, because not all life coaches are going to talk about energy, right? Just generally speaking.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, Speaking about a niche, my niche is like I coach people who want to be unstoppable in their business and their life. And talking about energy, the people that resonate with the word unstoppable will listen to that
Yeah.
word. They will resonate with it. They feel the energy behind it.
Yeah.
So as far as niche, these are my people. The
Right.
people who want more. And as far as like how do you pick, because that was, I understood part of the question, how do you pick, how do you know what kind of niche do you need to look for? I believe that it doesn't matter if you go to it does matter, but let's say you don't know which therapist you need to take, or which coach, or which like if you need this or that, um have a conversation. Like I give a complimentary session to every new client just because I believe it has to be 100% perfect match before we go into partnership.
Yeah.
And in this complimentary session, 40 minutes or between 30 to 45 minutes of complimentary session, I ask questions that no one else will ask you usually in your life. You don't go in your life asking those questions. So you get a lot of awareness and you understand where you're here, where are you now, where do you want to go, what's the gap, and then we decide if we are the right fit for us to work together.
Yeah.
And to go
Oh,
from
wow.
there. So I think when someone is looking to get more in their life, or fix something, they should speak to to a therapist. And it's more than just, oh, my friend took them and this person is great.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
all, it's like, what kind of energy do you resonate with? Like,
Mhm.
is this person the best fit for you?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We do. Your consultations or your I guess your first. Yes, I guess you call it a consultation, right? The first session, the trial.
Discovery call.
Yeah. What did you call it?
Discovery call.
Oh yeah, that's very generous. We typically do about 15-minute phone consults, or I've done Zoom consults too. And yeah, because I know as a therapist, and I'm sure a life coach, the relationship between the therapist and the client, or the life coach and the client, is so important, because if you're gonna talk about the most vulnerable things, and talk about things that, like you said, you've never you've never talked about before to other people in your life. You want to be able to feel like you can trust this person, like I'm not feeling judged. I can say this with confidence that it stays here and I'm not going to walk away feeling ashamed. And I think that that relationship is really important. So yeah, for I guess those of you listening, if you are interested in scheduling with a life coach or a therapist, it is always a good idea to schedule a free consultation. That's why they're available. I know some people just call and say, I found you, when can I make an appointment? And which is okay, but it's definitely recommended to have that initial conversation because it's about the connection and the relationship. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. You want to be in relationship with someone that can hold a space for you to be your best version. And you need to feel it from the other person. So when I partner with my clients, I partner with their potential because I can see, I have a potential detector. So the people that are my people, I can see their potential and I fall in love with their potential. So when I speak to them, I speak to their potential.
Yeah.
So, and I'm holding the space for them to see their potential too.
Right.
And that's the energy you want to feel from the person you work with.
Yeah, I like that. Do you, are most of your sessions, will say pre-COVID or post-COVID, do you meet with people in person and on the phone? What do your sessions look like typically? Because for therapists, we meet weekly. It's usually, about a 50-minute session. We meet weekly and, maybe for 6 to 12 months or however long is needed. It doesn't have to be it could be longer than that, but how are your sessions set up?
It's a great question. I mean, I don't have just one package. It so depends on the person because I find that I walk fast. so so it doesn't take long for the person to get to where they want to get. And then if you need maintenance, like if they
Yeah.
still want to stay in conversation, we make up our own package of meeting, let's say once a month. So I don't meet usually every week, and the packages changes depends on what the person needs
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
I meet face to face, Zoom, or sometimes over the phone, and it really depends on how the other person wants it because I'm good with all three.
Yeah. Yeah, we're, I think, in a place right now where it is convenient to be able to have these, like we're doing right now, the Zoom sessions where it's easily accessible. And I think that's what makes, those, you said you have clients who collaborate, they use a therapist and a life coach at the same time, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that is probably a good kind of information to know, because if you're interested in having both, that doesn't mean that you're going to have an hour session with each person every week, that time commitment. So working on those both areas, I think sometimes people get worried about overdoing it, but it is possible to work with both at the same time and not feel like you're getting, flooded with all of these.
And sometimes just the assessment enough opens up a great deal of stuff for people. So sometimes it's just the assessment.
Yeah.
So there's so many options. The most important thing is if someone hear something that resonates with them in our conversation, whether it's with them, with you as a therapist or me as a life coach, and like, I want some of that. They shouldn't hold back. They should find a way to schedule a discovery call, consultation, whatever you want to call it, and move from there. Like there's no reason why people need to be stuck.
Yeah. With a life coach, I know as a therapist, I am licensed in California. So that means I can only have clients that are, they have to be physically in the state for me to work with them. How does that work as far as life coaching goes? Are you limited to, like, you can only work with people in California, or you can work with people all over?
I have clients all over. I had a client in Canada. I had a client in Israel. I had clients in different states. No,
Oh,
That's the
wow.
magic of the virtual world. I can go anywhere. I can go to China.
Yeah. Well, that's the magic, I think, too, of, where maybe I do have a client where I think that is the beautiful thing about life coaching too. You're not limited to who you can work with. If you find somebody, if somebody who's watching this is on the East Coast or all over the world, then they don't have to find a life coach who's just limited to their area. Where people who want to go to therapy, they do have a limitation. They have to have a therapist who is licensed in that state where they are residing. So that is a really nice perk about life coaching. It doesn't limit you to who you can work with.
And one little thing to add, when I give the complimentary session, the discovery session, at the end of the session, if we agree that we are not the right fit, and that happens sometimes, I have like a huge bank of people that I can refer to, whether they're therapists or there are other coaches in different states. Like some people prefer face to face. I know coaches all over. IPEC itself, we have our community of close to 10,000 people. I don't know everyone personally, but I know a lot of people, and I can refer. So that's another like great thing.
Yeah, little network.
Yeah, I'm a connector. I love connecting.
Yeah, I know. That's how we met too. So yeah, it's good. You got to put yourself out there. You never know who you're going to meet. And I feel like we've had that conversation before. We definitely met for a reason, and I'm very grateful that I've been able to talk to you and learn more about what you do and just all the good things that you're doing.
Thank you. I feel the same.
Oh, well, do you want to, we have just a few minutes and then we can start wrapping up. Do you want to share more, maybe any final thoughts or anything that you want to add?
I wish there was a way I could see people questions, because I love being in interaction. Like if I knew people have questions or want to know something, and then I can answer. I'm feeding off other people's energy, but we don't. So let's just say, if anyone wants to know more about assessment, about coaching, about working with me, about whatever, feel free to reach out. And I'm sure you're going to put the link.
Yeah, we could
basically to schedule with me. You just go to talktodolly.com and you grab time on my calendar. But I'm sure Renee will put like a link there. And then worst case, we'll end up as friends and we'll go from there.
Yeah, right. And you're located here in Orange County, which we just said it doesn't really matter where the people are located, because they can call you from wherever they are. Absolutely. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to spend the morning with me and everybody who is watching now or maybe watching on the playback. I will definitely add the Dolly's website, contact information, whatever, and then you can always reach out if you have any questions that weren't answered. You can always comment. We can respond at a later time. I know we don't have, I don't think, live comments, but you can always comment later. We can respond. So thank you. I know this was fun. We'll have to do it again another time, and it was great seeing you. You take care, and then until next time.
Thank you for spending some of your time today with us at Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. If you like what we're all about, please consider supporting our nonprofit organization by making a tax-deductible donation. To do this, you can go to our website at www.sagewellnessctr.org and click on Donate in the upper right-hand corner. We look forward to spending some time again with you real soon. Take good care.